We are going all the way to Venezuela to see what's happening there. As we know, Venezuela has been embroiled in all sorts of economic turmoil, super hyperinflation going on there. People's life savings just completely evaporated away from government money printing. And so you've seen Venezuelans create this underground market in US dollars, underground market in all kinds of other currencies. But the latest is that in certain areas of Venezuela, they're going back to using gold as a means of buying goods and services. They're going to hairdressers and paying with flakes of gold. They're, going to the grocery store and paying with flakes of gold. It's a super interesting story because we're going full circle. Gold obviously was a money that the market kind of came to as an ideal form of currency and exchange. And then gradually the governments started to tax that ability out of existence and make it more difficult and then supplant it with sovereign notes. And so people kind of went the sovereign fiat route. And as soon as that fails them, it seems that they're going back to tried and true methods. Now, it did get me thinking, why were people like going to Bitcoin? Because we do know that there's a lot of cryptocurrency usage in Venezuela as well. But it also turns out that internet connection actually is very important when it comes to cryptocurrency, which this new report actually dives into. So I'm going to throw to the group. Zach, I'll throw to you to start off with. Tell me, what were your thoughts when reading this Bloomberg article about this means of payment from Venezuelans?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, this is not easy for folks on the ground there. I remember having a Venezuelan colleague at my previous job, and he would send dispatches from his family back there. And it's really sad to watch this happen because it really does have a lot of impact on people's lives, right? The ability to buy and transact is sort of a foundational human activity, and the need for people in Venezuela to turn to alternatives from the state-run currency is hard, and it speaks to the challenges that hyperinflation poses to people around the world. So, first of all, want to definitely be sympathetic to the turmoil that this creates. But it is crazy to see that flakes of gold are being used to buy soda in the grocery store, right? This comes as the currency there is virtually worthless, just given how vastly that has inflated away people's savings. So it speaks to the difficulty of some of this stuff. Obviously, it sort of speaks to whether or not Bitcoin could step in and be a bit more convenient for folks on the ground there. And it would be interesting to see if there is actually a lot of this peer-to-peer transaction in cryptocurrency following in the wake of this peer-to-peer transaction in gold. So curious if there's data on that or if we're seeing any uptick in sort of local Bitcoin's activity in Venezuela around this, but you may know that better than I. I'm going to throw that back to you, Naomi.
Yeah, a couple of points. One thing I will say is that I recently did an interview with Jorge Rodriguez. I'm really bad at pronouncing these names. And Andres Gilarte. They actually escaped from Venezuela. It's very difficult to actually leave, so they managed to flee. And they told me, I mean, from their perspective, it was mainly Bitcoin is being used as a store of value rather than a medium of exchange. Obviously, fees are really high. He said that Lightning's kind of non-existent there. And I've talked to a couple of other people that I'm interviewing at the moment who do say that things like Dash and Bitcoin Cash are a little more popular for day-to-day transactions. There's kind of a movement there to get people to pay with that. So it is there, but I think overwhelmingly, it's US dollars that the people there are using, and it's euros. And it's just interesting reading this article that people are going back to grams of gold. Like, they're not even going back to like government denominated coinage. I guess we know the history of money. That's what these things used to be. Like literally like thalers, it all derived from weight. It was the metric, like you would pay in 5 grams of gold or whatever. And then gradually governments changed the name and said, oh, we're going to change that, and it'll be, it doesn't matter how many grams of gold are inside, this is still going to be worth the same amount. And then from there, it started to get debased more and more. And now we're in the crazy system we have now, where we have these paper notes that are printed to infinity, and they're not really worth anything at all. But I'm going to throw this to Zach for your thoughts. I think I saw your hand go up.
No, I exhausted all my thoughts.
Oh, okay.
I had thoughts.
All right.
My thoughts are fast. I'm going to give it to Will, though. Will, take it away.
I'll go really quick and then hand it over to Jen. But yeah, I've seen like some Bitcoin mining stuff there, which has been really interesting. And the people have set up Bitcoin mines in their homes and they just run them. And it's like very common to walk into a store. I had one guy I was talking with, and he went to the dentist office, behind the counter, there's 5 machines just running. It's very common just to see that all across Venezuela. Also, another angle on this is there's a lot of altcoin activity there too. A lot of people just have Binance accounts and they just move money in and out of Binance accounts. They don't even bother settling with Bitcoin or bother settling with some other coin. They just trade on Binance back and forth, and that's how they give money to each other, is depositing it into each other's Binance accounts. It is interesting just over the top to say like gold is still supreme in everyone's mind. Like gold left the country for a while. You had like the bolívar being dominant, but once the bolívar kind of fell apart, everyone knew and instinctively went back to gold. Jen, I'll give it back to you though.
Yeah, the community that they're talking about in this article, they say it's one of the poorer communities that they don't use the US dollar there. And the Bolivar has inflated. There's a stat in the article so that cup of coffee has increased in price by 1,700% in the last 12 months. And we talk about barriers to entry with crypto so much. And as I was reading the process about how these people are actually carrying around gold nuggets, they're carrying around tools, they're shaving the gold nuggets in stores. The store tellers, a lot of them can eyeball what $5 worth of gold is. This is an absolutely insane system. And for me, it's like, wow, that feels like so many more barriers than crypto. And for me, it just shows the resilience of people and just the lack of support and trust from their government, and a failure in a financial system. And it is so sad, but I'm happy to see that they've been resilient. And hopefully when internet can get there some way, somehow, they can have access to something that is much easier to use and transact with.